Why? Because we have nothing established. Everything is up here. It's all a jurisdictional thing. You know, there are no metes and bounds of British Columbia. There's no metes and bounds of Alberta. There's no metes and bounds of Saskatchewan. I still don't hear anybody talk about it. I'm starting to see where guys are backing up. Well, you know, if Wexit doesn't go through, you know, well, it's, you know, the Wexit doesn't go through, you know, at least we got our point across. Until the energy, maybe after this job, I will start a campaign for, you know, I don't know. I'd have to get some backup on it, but you know, through fundraising groups and that. But like, I can't stress enough the importance of a proper, at least the articles of, you know, a de jure constitution for Alberta. You know, I can't stress enough. You know, I can't stress it enough, and I don't see enough happening. And I've seen a few meetings, and I've seen some bitching and complaining, and, you know, going on about this and going on about that. Well, that's all fine. You know, but Alberta, you're not sovereign, man. Okay? Canada is your parent corporation. All right? You guys, you're a subsidiary corporation of Canada, which is a subsidiary corporation of the inner city of London, of the crown. That crown, not the other crown. Not the one on the woman's head, right, that represents the people. Now, that's the weight on her shoulders that she has to carry because she serves a people. It's a constitutional monarchy. Not a fucking dictatorship. Not a rule. Right? Only those who have an oath to this Mr. and Mrs. Her Majesty, only those folks can commit treason. Anyways. Yeah, alright, so Article 6. So yeah, Article 6.2, every citizen of Canada and every person who has the status of there's the word status. What kind of status do you hold? You know? Status of permanent resident of Canada. Now this is interesting because Canada is upper and lower case. So that must be the Canada, the nation, not the corporate body, right? If it was a corporate body, it would be spelled in all capitals. You know, has the right to pursue the gaining of livelihood in any province. So that's pretty funny. Now, that's why I was talking about in and at. In and at. Okay? Now, in any province. Now, am I in BC? Well, if for me to be in BC or in Alberta or in Quebec or in Canada, I would have to be like an integral part of BC. That means if you pulled me out of BC, if I left BC, right, it would cease to exist. So that's why we don't go into the court. That's why I don't wish to go into the court unless I do wish to go into the court. Now that's why I will appear at court. Right? I will appear at court because if somebody has something to claim or whatever, and if I don't show up, I guess they're going to send the boys with the guns and the dogs. But anyways, so I will appear at court. You know, and I let them know. I always write a notice in advance, right, to let everybody know. It's really good practice, something else I learned from Carl, but really good practice to go and hand deliver your notice with witnesses to the man or woman who acts as the prosecutor in the matter, right? But I also send it to the court, and yes, I do pollute the file with my notice as well. I want to make sure that everybody knows or notices my notice. So anyone involved notices my notice. So it could be the AG, and then the Crown Prosecutor, and then, the judge, and so on and so forth, to notice my notice. So when I appear at court, I will stand. And first question out of my mouth is have you read my notice? Did this man read my... I do everything over to that man or woman that is moving the court. See, that man or woman in the black robe, they have a duty, responsibility, and obligation when they wear that robe to keep that man's court going. All right? So until they find out that there's a legal entity, a two-dimensional entity coming after a three-dimensional entity. And how do I mean that? It's like when the man or woman who in the black robe sees their fellow man at court, now they have a higher duty, responsibility, and obligations to protect the rights of that man or woman. Now I have a right to cross-examine my accuser. I have a right to settle any matter with my fellow man. I have a right not or let's say I have a right to benefit as a person within an enactment or in whatever, because I am of this land. But I also have a right to not be forced into it, right? Like, you can't force me to act as a person. And so when somebody moves a court against you, it's presumed that you were acting as a person. That's why everybody's there. And it's usually not law. It's usually something, the color of law that you broke. Now there's public laws, there's color of law, like private law, there's the common law, right? The common law. And so you have to know what venue you're at when you do pass through or go within a public court building. And so anyways, yeah, so when the man or woman in the black robe sees their fellow man there, now they have a higher duty, obligation, responsibility to make sure that nobody interferes with their fellow man's right. So if he's acting as a Crown Prosecutor, he's second dimension. He's lower standing than me. Any person operating with a title is lower than those of mankind. No title is higher than mankind. This is why, when you talk about the king and the land being one, and the people and land being one, and the king serves the people at his leisure, at her leisure, whatever, right? That's the constitutional monarchy. So the whole establishment under the king or queen serves the people. Well, is mankind not people? Am I not of this land? Who do you serve? Am I not your brother? By way of mankind, and both of us being of and from this land? Do I not have a duty and responsibility and an obligation to my fellow man? You bet I do. I guess I got off on a tyrant. So every citizen, look up the word, check out the root. It's Latin. Of Canada. Now I see that to me reads as Canada, the government of Canada. Okay, Canada, the nation, right? Because it's not in all caps. So, and like I say, the style of writing tells you, or it doesn't tell you, but it shows you, and we're supposed to learn to read these magic symbols so that we can see the picture. When you read something, you see a picture in your mind's eye. And so what we interpret a piece of paper to read is a picture that we see in our mind's eye. And so we can annihilate our own selves before we even get going because of fear and trauma. So so the de jure, well, what should be a de jure Canada that we don't have yet. And so every person, so that'd be like a man or a woman who, well, I guess, who has the right to pursue the gaining of a living. So a person, a man or woman could be in this, where's the person? Yeah, a man or woman could be categorized in that person content. Because it takes a man or woman to act as a person. So I don't know why they just didn't say everyone. Everyone on this land has a right to his or her livelihood. There. I don't know why they had to put all this in. So the gaining of so there again, the gaining. So what they're saying is we're not guaranteeing you that you're allowed to gain your livelihood yet, but sometime in the future, you will have that right to gain your livelihood. So there's not even a guarantee here just because of that. The way it reads. Now I don't know who wrote this, so I can't write him. I can't send him a query in written form because I don't even know who wrote this. Who's the man or woman that wrote this? What was their intent behind it? We didn't write it. It didn't come from the people. Not these people. So to me that's a little trickery. And this is why I diss this fucking thing off. Because it really doesn't mean much to me. So there again, okay, so the four corner rule, that's like if I put in any province, say in four corner brackets or in a box, same idea. Okay, it's a four corner rule. That means it's there, but it's not part of this. That means I can put it in a four corner brackets, and then I could have it there for explanatory reasons, right? But it's not part of that contract. It's not part of the document. So like if I had, if say for some reason I felt like I had to put gaining on, I could put brackets around the ing, and so using the word gaining makes it fit in the sentence, and so everybody gets the gist of it. But then it's, nobody can say, you can't have a public servant come up in court and go and say, well, no, they don't have the right to gain a living. Okay, the right will be sometime in the future they'll have the right to gain a livelihood, but not right now. And this is why they took phonics out of school. This is why they took grammar out of school. They didn't want you reading this shit. Well, you'll know it for what it is. So like, I might be within my private cubicle. I love that saying. But I might be within my private cubicle, within my car. But I'm not in the car, okay? I'm just within. I'm within the car, but I'm not in the car. I'm not part of the car. All right? So, and that car is an extension of my home, which is my castle. So unless I'm operating in public, I'm only passing through the public from point A to point B. Now, if I start operating in public, well, then the public laws apply. But I don't wish to operate in the public. I don't wish to work in the public, make my gain off the public. I'm just, in the natural order of a man or a woman to go, as is our right, to go from point A to point B without being unnecessarily detained or harassed or tormented or beaten up or having our property taken from us willy-nilly. And like I believe I did, I did like 10 films and I didn't put any of them up, so I can't remember exactly what I said in the past, but I believe I put it up on how the trickery works through registration. Not only does it become part of part of the public store, but now they believe they are first owner, giving you certain ownerships or certain rights as a person, but only if you keep this, and this. If you break any of that, then all of a sudden they take back their property that you paid for because you voluntarily gave it to them through registration, right? Whether it's your home, your bicycle, you know, whatever. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, watch the words no, not, never. Those are fighting words. And I don't, you know, never say never again, right? Because you never know. You really don't. Nobody knows the future, you know. Yeah, but no and not, yeah. So, you know, like if I use the word refuse, that's like a not, right? It's like when I was talking to this cop, we got these handheld breathalyzers. I think we bought them used from Georgia. They never went through proper screening because they don't give a shit anymore because they're acting like dictators, right? So they don't give a shit about the people anymore. So we got these, what I hear and saw a news thing on, you know, that they got these defective handheld devices that are, you know, with no drop alcohol in your system or no drugs, they're you know, they're blowing and they're showing that, you know, you're impaired, right? So you know, I get pulled over one time and you know, the man who acts as the copper, you know, he says, hey, you know, you blow. And I said, well, do you have, like, I know at the station house, you know, that they have a maintenance proper, expensive blow unit, right? So I said, well, do you have one at the station house, you know? And they keep the records of their maintenance and everything. And he says, yeah. And I says, well, okay, well, take me there. You know, I wish to blow there. And he just started screaming, you must blow, and he couldn't believe that I didn't want to throw my fucking lips around his, you know, his unit. And no, listen, guy, you know, that there, it's even on the news that they've been found defective. You bought them used and never went through screening. Just take me to the station house. So that man interpreted for me, or interpreted that I refused to blow, and labeled me as some kind of fucking free man and his bullshit. Whereas I didn't refuse to blow, and I didn't say no, not, never. I just said, hey, you know, it's not. Well, I did say, yeah, no, I did say not, because I said I'm not refusing. I said just take me to the proper machine, where I believe, you know, I am secure. And yeah, so that turned into a fiasco, and he had the cuffs on me and all that stupid shit. You know, I'm sitting in the back of the car, and the guy said, well, he reads me off the charter or whatever. Do you understand your charter rights? I'm like, no. I got no charter rights. What the fuck do I look like, a corporation? What the fuck do I look like, some entity that was created by my public service? I didn't say all that. I just said, no. Right? Because they're not my charter rights. My rights do not derive, but because he can presume that I was an officer of the corporate body through that government license that I possess, he can presume that he's my parent, you know, he's my co-parent, and you know, he's an officer of my co-parent that actually has ownership over my property, my car, my truck, what they call a vehicle, and on and on and on. Like this everything's, you know, they just, you know, they don't wish to see their fellow man. They don't wish to have that duty, responsibility, and obligation towards their fellow man. I do not see, you know, the peace being kept. What I see is the establishment creating controversy and pulling people out of the public or out of the private into the public and creating controversy, and then just stomping on your fucking head because I can. So Now there's a good part of the story I'm not talking about, which is the bills that I sent for the orders I took, but whatever. Anyways, I'll get to that. I'm actually going to do a show on that, and taking orders, because slavery is outlawed in all its forms on this land, okay? Now, taking orders. I have a right. If I order you to do something, you have a right to fair and just compensation from me. Period. End of story. You're not incarcerated. I'm not incarcerated. That's where they want everybody. So I will be doing something. So I just wanted to basically talk about, you know, this is why I diss off these documents that, you know, these covenants and stuff, and, you know, it's like even the slavery one, or that servitude in the one covenant, you know, it says, you know, all forms of servitude shall be prohibited. Well, prohibited shall. So sometime in the future, it'll be prohibited. Is that like gaining a living sometime in the future? You know, a citizen and a permanent resident. You know, and I think, you know, you think of a person who has permanent residency in Canada, you think somebody who came from like Chile or Europe or you know, Middle East or something, getting permanent residence before getting citizenship. But they can also consider you a permanent resident if you wish to stay as a man. You know, they can presume that too. You know, I was talking to a JP one time, and she wanted to see some ID. Oh, this was pretty good trickery. She wished to see some ID, and I'm like, oh, she wanted to see a birth certificate. I said, birth certificate? I said, what does that got to do with anything? Right? And I'm standing at this window, right beside like the court clerks here, okay, the counter, most people have seen those. And then there was like, it still looked like it was part of the court clerks, but it was a window, and it wasn't. It was court. That's where they stick the JP, and they trick people into holding court in the hallway this way. They don't tell you it's court. So anyways, I'm standing there one time, and you know, this woman looks at me who acts as a JP, and she's I didn't know it. And see, at first I thought it was just, you know, another court clerk, right? And she's like, well, do you have a birth certificate? I said, birth certificate? I said, what does that got to do with anything? And she goes, well, you're a citizen, aren't you? I'm like, what does that got to do with anything? And then she was getting really mad at me, and I thought it was there for court. But anyways, I looked at her, and I looked at her, and I said, hang on a second, is this court? She goes, yes. You trickery, trickery, trickery. I've warned lots of people about that ever since. But and then she tries to get rid of me, saying, well, okay, well, we'll let you know. We'll let you know. And let me know what? You know? How are you going to let me know anything? Well, I've got your email over here. And she's waving. I got your email over here. And I'm like, I never gave you any information. Why would you have... Oh yeah, you gave it to me. It's over here. And I says, let me see that. I wish to see that, is my exact words. I wish to see that document. And so she kind of just give it to me. She just holds it up. And it said, it was like my email, kingmotorsupply@gmail.com. Same one for years. And it says, it said, read, King Family Zoo at banff.ca. More trickery. That way, if I would have left the building, they could have emailed me and said, hey, you got to get back to court, but emailed like this King Family frickin' Zoo thing, and then warrants out for me and blah, blah, blah. Like, there is no reason for our public service. There is no reason for this de facto government, for any agency, society, organ, to be operating in such trickery on those of mankind of this land. And not just those of any person on this land, or those of any citizen. Just because you make it legal to kill a Jew doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it lawful. And I'm seeing more and more of this trickery. And the thing with the copper and this whole thing, you must blow, you must blow. Well, there's no court. The way they set up the law here, you are automatically found guilty. It goes through this secret, super secret tribunal behind the scenes that works for the insurance corporation of another crown corporation that you must buy your insurance from, within BC, if you're not self-insured, and then faceless, nameless folks, right? And you have to pay to send them a letter, and you have to pay if you wish to do it in phone, right? Like I'm going to do it via Boiche over a phone with these entities, with these actors, and then if you don't like it, here's what you can do. You can appeal to the Supreme Court, which people have, okay? And so like the Supreme Court is like our inherent jurisdiction, basically, our inherent courts that came from across the pond, the idea of the common law courts, supposedly the common law courts. But anyways, while I do have a fair amount of respect for those who wear that black robe, they know, I've seen them, they know the difference between man and person. They know the difference between, they know who they are as a man and woman when they reach that. But anyways, so you can appeal to the Supreme Court, but even if that man or woman in the black robe decides that they had no reason to take your stuff and the government license you possess, it just gets sent back down to that tribunal, and they can turn around and tell the judge, well, no thanks, no, we're standing by our guns. So either way, like, they took court away, right? So something else I thought might be a good GoFundMe, to do a constitutional challenge on that actual law, because but you see, it's all trickery. But once they start taking the court away, then what the fuck are we gonna do? Geez, where is it? Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of the person, and the right not to be deprived thereof, except in accordance with the principles of fundamental justice. Where's fundamental justice? Is it fundamental justice to have a faceless tribunal like the commies used to do in Russia, in the regional areas? Whereas, everyone, so here we go. Everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of the person. Everyone has the right to be secure against unreasonable search and seizure. Well, who decides what's reasonable and unreasonable? Like, who makes this decision? Does our public service make this decision? Well, they say, well, society makes this decision. Well, whose society? Whose? Not my fucking society. I don't see the King family voting in any of this kind of crap and deciding what's reasonable and not reasonable. As mankind and self-governing, I do, for myself. All right? Everyone has the right not to be arbitrarily detained or imprisoned. So arbitrarily. So they passed a law that says they can arbitrarily pull you over and interfere with your right. You're right. You do have the right to access public roads. You do have the right to go from point A to point B. But they passed this law that takes away court. They passed this law that interferes with fundamental justice. They passed this law that everyone has the right not to arbitrarily be detained or imprisoned. Because if you're just willy-nilly pulling people over because you're fishing, and that's what coppers do, we all know they do it. They fish for revenue, they fish for whatever reasons they fish for, right? And we're the fish. And so everyone has the right not to be arbitrary. Well, it's all arbitrary now. They're just arbitrarily detaining people. You know, da 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 da, tu 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 tu, tu 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 tu. Anyways, and then it goes.